The 2024 election has ended in America and Donald Trump has won. For some people, that is a cause for joy and celebration, and for others, it is misery and hopelessness and fear. And so whatever side you might be on, how can you remain more balanced, more equanimous, and able to handle what all of this means? So the most important thing in Vipassana is to see reality as it is. That is literally in the name of Vipassana, to see clearly, to comprehend clearly, to observe reality as it is. And in a democracy, reality as it is means that the collective will of the people gets to decide who the president is. And the results are in, right? Donald Trump won fair and square. He won the popular vote and the electoral college vote. The decision or the outcomes might not be in your favor. It might not be in any individual's favor, but collectively it is the will of the people. If you don't want Trump to be president, then you will become very unhappy with the outcome. And your mind can start racing with what ifs and all this concern and worry about what this might bring. But Vipassana teaches us to stay in the present reality of what is and not to get lost, because you can imagine a million different things that can come about from Trump's presidency, and they might not happen, right? As we know, most presidents or all presidents don't do everything that they say that they were going to do, right? That is just on the campaign trail. They make all these promises. They say they're going to do all these things, and then they don't do it. So even if Trump has said he's going to do X, Y, and Z, if you fear he'll do those, it probably won't happen. And if you are hoping he does those, it might not happen as well, right? So whether you're for or against them, don't take promises and don't take what isn't actually real to be real. And so don't be happy about it or be dissatisfied or afraid of it if it hasn't actually happened. But how do we balance this observation of reality as it is without becoming indifferent or emotionally detached? And that is where the next lesson in Vipassana really comes in, which is equanimity. Equanimity is keeping the balance of your mind as you're facing the ups and downs of every single situation. It's not about suppressing your emotions or ignoring your emotions. So whether you are happy that Trump is president or you are afraid that Trump has become president, equanimity is about not letting those emotions overpower the stability of your mind and start to really create more misery in yourself, right? Because whether you're very happy that he's president, and you have all this hope and all these dreams of what he's going to do, and then you're enamored with those emotions, and then reality happens in a different way, and now you're dissatisfied, and so that will bring you misery. Or whether you're fearful and super anxious of what he's, going to do, and you're imagining all these millions of ways that things can go wrong, and then it doesn't even happen, you've created more suffering for yourself because you've reacted to all this imagined negativity that you made up in your own mind that did not actually happen in reality. So allowing to acknowledge whatever feelings you have without letting it overwhelm you or get you into a rolling state where you're just, rolling in your thoughts. So equanimity is all about acknowledging these feelings without letting them overwhelm you. And then this is what really allows you to participate in the democratic process. This allows you to honor the democratic process and then also embrace your emotions within, find that stability within, regardless of the outcome. So does accepting reality, being equanimous with the outcome, mean not doing anything? No. This is how we balance, right? Accepting reality and are able to respond. One of the most important lessons in Vipassana is creating distance between the stimulus and the reaction. Creating this distance between the stimulus and our preconditioned reactivity, we create this space where we can respond, right? We can respond intentionally, with reason, with wisdom. And taking this moment, right, creating this space to reflect, to not get overwhelmed by all the headlines, not to get overwhelmed with all the social media posts or even what everybody in society, all the people around you, whether they're gleefully jumping for joy, or whether it's all doom and gloom, really creating a little bit of distance from that to not let it overwhelm you is really important. And that distance allows you to respond and look at it objectively and say, what needs to happen and how can I do that in a responsible way? But how do you respond to this kind of situation, right? How do you respond to this outcome without reacting to it? And that's where mindful engagement comes in. You know, democracy thrives on participation, right? Whether you're out there voting, whether you're collecting and raising awareness, whether you're canvassing during political times and going door to door, making sure people are voting for important candidates and causes, right? Democracy requires participation. But the challenge is responding and participating in the democratic process without getting overwhelmed by the whirlwind of emotions, right? As I reflect back on when Donald Trump lost the 2020 elections to Joe Biden, and his supporters rushed the Capitol building, and it looked like a scene from, a dystopian movie or something like this, right? It totally looked so crazy. We don't want that kind of reaction to a democratic process, right? So whether you are happy that Trump won or you're very afraid or whatever it might be, how can you respond mindfully and engage responsibly with the democratic process? So it's really about balancing the democratic process and being engaged in it on a day-to-day basis to really help the long-term thing. So if you're, let's say, dissatisfied with Trump winning, in the next 4 years, in the voting in the general elections, canvassing and doing all these kind of little things is how you mindfully and meaningfully engage with the democratic process, instead of just like raising your fist and shouting and saying, well, he shouldn't be president and all this kind of stuff, which really doesn't do anything because the democratic process is unfolding. And so you can participate in it as you engage in dialogue with others and you embrace other people's differences and opinions, right? Because Trump winning the majority vote means that the majority of people wanted Trump to be president. And so you got to see the humanity in them and see, well, why is it that more people voted for Trump than not voted for Trump, right? There must be something to the other side. And then the majority must also see, why did the minority who voted for Kamala Harris, why did they vote that way? What are they thinking about? What are they prioritizing? What are they giving importance to? And engaging in this, right? To see our differences, but to engage mindfully and to trust the democratic process and to be grateful for the democratic process. And so this really requires having compassion for all. And in Vipassana, right, as we practice every day, we do our metta practice at the end of our Vipassana sit, and where we are sharing our loving kindness, our skills, our attributes, our positive qualities, and hoping others stay away from negative qualities, right? We generate this compassionate love for all. And that means to people who agree with you and who disagree with you, right? To people who harm you and people who benefit you and you have harmed, right? This compassion that Vipassana really develops and generates in us can help us see, right? Can help us bridge these gaps, these differences and the different priorities that people have. And bridging this gap to see their inner humanity, to see, we are trying to live together and we are different people. We have different likes, we have different preferences, we have different ways of seeing the world. And America is all about that. It's all about the differences in all that we are. And so how do we appreciate people's differences without becoming negative ourselves or without trying to enforce our own will on them, right? Because if it goes into enforcing your will upon others, then it's not a democracy anymore. Then it becomes like North Korea. We don't want that. We don't want where just one singular power without any change happens, right? We want a democracy where change happens all the time. And this change is really important, right? It's another big important feature of Vipassana. Anicca, right? Impermanence permeates the whole practice, and it's always about seeing change. And so when it comes to Trump being president, in 4 years exactly, he's not going to be president, right? And I've heard some stuff about, he's going to make it so that democracy is over and he's going to stay in power and there's not going to be elections in 2028. And my hypothesis is that will spark a whole civil war, because the biggest thing that we have in America is a democracy, is our right to make decisions and to contribute to who is in power. And a part of that, right, what's baked into that is that change of every 4 years, there's going to be an election. And if you've been president twice, you are no longer can be president. And so it's embracing this change and really understanding he's president now. He will not be president later. And this impermanence, right, also comes with our own emotional states, right? So whether we're elated or we're just in complete distress, this too will change, right? This too will transform. You know, like maybe Trump does a few of the things that he says he's going to do. Maybe he doesn't do them. Maybe a lot of big changes happen. Maybe not, right? Maybe not a lot. Who knows what's going to happen? But whatever does happen can change. And even if he does, this much in his presidency, who's to say that the next president doesn't undo some of the work or all the work that has been done, right? And that's been the case with when Obama was president and then Trump became president. He undid a bunch of the stuff that Trump did, right? And there's all this change baked into the democratic process, baked into our own emotions, baked into our own lives. So Vipassana invites us to see this change. And this connects to the earlier points, right? Having that equanimity. Why would you overreact to something that's going to change, right? Why would you allow something impermanent to create unnecessary distress and suffering within yourself? And all of this really, this impermanence built into the democratic system is we should really be grateful for this, right? We should be able to put our differences aside for the moment, look at the bigger picture, and just appreciate that we live in a democracy. We can contribute to political power, right? I hear stories about Kim Jong-un all the time and all the horrible things that North Koreans have to face. And I am just so grateful that we don't have that, or in Russia, right? Or in China, where it's a one political system. And so at least in America, we have two, right? There should be more parties, but the reality of it being two, even at least being two, is very nice, because at least we get a little bit of choice. And even if it's not absolute choice, the way that the democracy is and change is baked into the system, we should be so grateful for this and respect the process of democracy, however it may show up, whether we like it or whether we don't like it, to embrace reality as it is, to act mindfully, to respond with compassion, and to engage with wisdom and with love.